Superhumans, hey, Lori here. Welcome back to our channel and another video. Today I want to share some tips that we can use to continue to recognize and answer the question, is this idea, this action I want to take coming from my head or is it coming from my heart? Our whole goal here on this channel is to guide you in rediscovering your own truth, your aliveness and your freedom within for yourself, because it's not something imagined or something that you've read about or know about or have been told is supposed to be. It's really about us rediscovering that for ourselves. What we're offering you are ways to really continue to make a clearer and clearer distinction between who you truly are and the social conditioning that has come on so strongly and has really been meshed so much with your consciousness that we don't recognize who we are anymore. It gets really confusing. So if we're at the point that we're asking ourselves, wait a second, is this new action or this new idea that's coming up for me coming from my mind or from a defense mechanism or social conditioning, my head? Or is it actually coming from a grounded place, from my true self, from my heart? That is a really good sign because it means there is enough distinction to know the difference. So these tips today we can explore with to help us recognize if the idea and action that's coming up is indeed coming from our head or from our heart. Examples of areas where we might be asking this question might be around a new relationship, if we're going to take a new job or not, if we're going to take that vacation, travel, get away or not. It might be around our fitness, diet, exercise, etc. So for example, if I use the vacation one, I've had trainees and clients lately say, you know, I really want to take a vacation and I really want to get away, but I can't tell if it's coming from my head and a defense mechanism of flighting, or if it's really coming from my heart and a place of grounding that I really need this change. So normally, whenever flight comes up, if we're looking to travel because it's flight, then it's usually because we want to flight feeling something within us, that if I just stay in the same place a little longer, it's going to bring something up, some old emotion that has been trying to come up. And maybe that's why I want to take this action to travel. So I think it's amazing that people actually stop to ask themselves this question. But let me say that in the end, no matter what we decide, if it is to go on the vacation or not, we're still on our path because we can't leave our path. Our path, we are our path. However, I think it's great to have these tips I'm going to share today so that you can ask yourself these questions and just explore. And it might just bring on something different, something new, and help you rediscover something about your own truth and really help in that distinction between who we really are and that social conditioning. So tip number one on how to explore if this idea or this action I want to take is coming from my head or my heart is to really tune into your nervous system. Look at it through the nervous system and the body. So if when you think about that idea, when you conjure it up, if you feel a pull up in your body, if you feel it here in your neck, maybe even some heat rising in your body or just feeling hot in general, or maybe your heart rate goes up a little bit, or maybe your chin starts to push out a little bit like in the future. Maybe you feel tension in your body. These are all signs that perhaps this idea is coming from that social conditioning of something you're supposed to do and you have to do, and you're pushing yourself to do it, or that it's actually coming from a self-defense mechanism of trying to flight or fight something. So you're feeling a bit unsafe, and so this is what's bringing up this idea, and your body is showing you through these physical signs. Tip number two to recognize if it's coming from your head or your body is to really recognize, again from the nervous system perspective, if it's coming from a place of a bit of euphoria. Are you noticing a dreamlike state when you talk about it or when you think about it? Are you like in a little fantasy about it? Do you notice that you kind of disconnect from what's going on around you? This could be a type of escape. This could be a type of freeze or a type of disconnection around it. Tip number 3 is to really recognize if it's in balance or not. When you feel into this idea or this action that you're looking at taking, does it overshadow absolutely everything? That probably means you're totally identified with it and maybe looking at it as a way out of something. Because if something comes from our heart and from a grounded place, we don't identify with it. It feels good, we're witnessing it, and we know it's probably a good thing to do and it's going to feel good, but we're still in balance in our life. It doesn't overshadow everything. If you think about, I'll use the example of a relationship. When you're early in a relationship, in that infatuation stage that can happen, we are so into that it overshadows everything. Suddenly the things that we didn't like in our life are fine. And sometimes it's because we're totally identified with that, rather than just let it balance out. And that's all of these things are fine, of course. It's just to explore. It's just a way to get to know ourselves more, to rediscover our true selves more, making that distinction between that and social conditioning. The 4th tip is to really recognize if you are already in the outcome. This is a big one. So if in your idea, you are imagining how it's going to feel to have that outcome, that is probably a sign that it's not coming from your true self. It's coming as something external that we're trying to do that's going to change something that we don't like about now. Because anytime that we're imagining the outcome already, that's dangerous because we have no idea what the outcome is going to be. So it's already not natural. It's already a sign of something that we are seeking, searching for outside of ourselves. So it's really about doing the action that's the most important and what it will bring us, and not being tied or attached to anything it's going to bring us. Tip number 5 is noticing if there's any rush to this. If you're feeling rushed to do it, if you feel like you're going to miss out unless you do it right now, or that you can't focus on anything happening now because you really feel the drive and the rush to go make this happen or to go do this action, chances are it's probably coming from that defense mechanism of fight or flight to protect yourself. Tip number 6 is noticing if there's any criticism or judgment around this. So if there's any negative doubt, resistance, all of those things that come up for us, an example here might be that it's a new job. Maybe we're being really hard on ourselves because we're in the same old kind of job. And so we shouldn't be here. This shouldn't be happening this way. We deserve better than this, and we should be taking another job. And so we're actually looking for that other job from that place of really beating ourselves up that we shouldn't be in this situation again, versus just really going inside and recognizing that even though I'm in this job, I'm still free. I can still feel into my truth and allow that new job or that next experience to be created from the shift that I'm feeling inside of actually supporting myself and rediscovering my true self, my truth, versus going to that next job and imagining how happy that is going to make me. Tip number 7 is to discover if there's any comparing or influencing going on. Something that I've noticed with myself and with many of my trainees and clients is that we hear an idea from somebody else. We hear about something that somebody else is doing, and all of a sudden, boom, we feel like we need to be doing that too, but that's not always the case. But maybe because there's something within us that we're not pleased with, when we hear this idea, it really pulls us and we start to feel like we should be doing that too. So just notice where the idea came from. Did it come from hearing somebody, and was it from a place of comparing yourself or being influenced from that idea? Or is it truly something that is coming up within you, that when you hear it, it resonates at some level and that it feels right for you? So here are a few tips on what to do if you recognize, oh, I think it probably is coming from my fight and flight mechanism or freeze, or my social conditioning of something I'm searching to do out here that I think is going to bring me more joy and freedom in here. So tip number 1 is to really change your state. So through grounding, right? Start to move, put some great music on that really changes your state, either slow music that helps you come down and connect with yourself, or maybe it's fast music that helps you dance to discharge, or if you do TRE, do some tremoring at that time, or other practices that you're doing. This is going to help you ground and connect with yourself. Then you can come back and have a look after you've changed your state. You've actually reversed what was going on here. You were just getting in there, but now you stopped and you've reversed this process. And then you can explore, how does it feel and look now that I have actually changed my state, that I'm more grounded, that I'm more connected. Tip 2 is to really make a choice to shift your attention. Nobody can do this for you. It's a choice that we have to make for ourselves. To shift our attention from out here to in here. It's simply just coming back to relax within ourselves, to reconnect with our breath, and to really just be still and quiet inside. Even if it's just for 5 seconds and this starts up again, it's okay. Every time this, whatever it is that's coming up, or if it's just another thought or just the mind being busy or whatever it is, and this can be done in movement. You can be walking. You can be soothing yourself, either in the house or outside, as you're making the choice to just go more internal, to find your quietness, your stillness from inside. Even though it gets interrupted over and over again, it's okay, because you are making the choice to go within. Life is going to meet you there. Things are going to change when you make that choice. Tip number 3 is, once you are more grounded, explore this idea, this action again from this place. Explore to see if you can sense maybe what it is that was coming up within you that you didn't want to feel, that was putting you into that defense mechanism of fighting, flighting, freezing, rather than feel. And see if you're ready just to feel, even if it's just a little bit of it. That is already huge. And then go off and do something else to get your mind off of it. And the last tip, number 4, is to take a moment to explore, looking into the future of how it might feel after you would have taken this action on this idea. Do you recognize and feel within yourself that it's not going to be any different than what is here now? That you are already free now, that you are already within yourself now, you are already on your path, you are your path. And I think that's a beautiful distinction to make now, before we take any action, to recognize that yes, it might be an action, it might bring some good feelings, but all of that is temporary too. So I think in this moment, before we take any action, to really recognize that in the future, after this idea, this action is taken, it's not going to really change anything that we have here right now. So thanks loads for joining me today. I trust that something you heard from within here today will actually lead you into rediscovering more of your own truth, your aliveness, and your freedom within, and really continue to make that distinction between your truth, social conditioning, self-defense mechanisms clearer than ever. Wishing you a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and see you on the next video.